kneeling on the neck of a human who at this point, I watched part of the video. I haven't watched all of the videos that are circulating. It's too triggering for me. But I did see the clip where George Floyd was already dead, clearly dead, and had urinated himself at this point, and the officer is still kneeling on his neck. I think this is the time where a lot of people have just been awakened. They've been awakened. I get so many messages from folks that I know, people I don't know. They just know that I'm Black and they might have a connection to me. And they're like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe this is happening. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going through this. And I think that piece has been like an extra layer of trigger, because it's like, where the fuck have y'all been? Where have y'all been? I've grown up knowing this. So I think like there have been so many emotions that have just been up and down, and we're all just trying to like cope with the reality of where we're at and get through it together. I am thankful that we've had this ability to have this moment of pause, and we're experiencing these times. I don't want to say I'm thankful for these. It's a weird feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like there is a bigger message. There is something that's happening right now that is historical, and we're a part of it. And my prayer, my hope is that we are going to come out of this and have a better world for the next generation coming up behind us.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, I think that the pause is good. And I think that that's why everyone's paying attention finally, because you're right. This has been going on for so long. And I think that then when everyone was just home with and, didn't have a million distractions and they actually had to look and see, they were like, what? This is happening. And I didn't watch the George Floyd video because, to be honest, I can't watch a video of another Black man being gunned down or killed. It feels like almost like snuff films or something at this point to me. I didn't watch it. I heard about it, and that's all I needed. But it was just so upsetting. And then it's like, it doesn't stop. It's like, oh, the next week there's another story. And the next week there's another story. It's crazy. It is crazy. And to hear, I have all sorts of mixed feelings about the police, but then to hear them try to justify also makes it crazy. It's like, there's no justification for that. Everyone can see exactly what happened, It's a weird time. And I do think that this is a time of change. So I do think something good is going to come out of this. It's just a lot of bad has to happen before that, I guess. I really love that you are coaching and focusing on self-care, because I think you're right. Like, representation matters. And you were talking about trying to find mentors and not seeing other people who were necessarily like you. And I do think that's really true, because I definitely follow a lot of different coaches and stuff. I have my own idea for a coaching thing, but I haven't said it yet, but it's been marinating, but I don't see very many coaches of color, and I definitely don't see very many LGBTQ coaches at all. So I think it's so cool that you are. And, the first time that I recognized that this was in you was, well, besides just being awesome, you're always wonderful, Kiki, but was when you were working. I don't know if I can say the company. Can I say any past companies? Maybe not. Just say a company.
A company works.
Okay. A company, a big, huge company that maybe other people in my family have worked for. And it seemed like you got really involved, like, transforming the company culture, leading workshops on being a person of color and LGBTQ issues. How did that come about? Did they approach you, or did you just say, hey, I want to do some workshops for our company? How did that happen?
Yeah. So I was working for a huge Fortune 100 company, and I have a natural passion for diversity and inclusion. And so in my last, I think, like 5 to 7 years of my career, I have always wanted to just dive into like that space in corporations, especially working in corporate America. I worked for, I think, 4 different Fortune 100 companies. And even now I work for a huge social media giant in Silicon Valley. And there has just been such a lack of representation for our like historically underrepresented communities, all the way from women, minorities of different types, veterans, LGBTQ plus. And for me, it was like anywhere I can help to bring more representation or like a more inclusive environment internally within the company and like make room for retention with these beautiful employees that like ultimately make the business stronger and represent the population of customers, users, whatever. So I actually had a mentor within that company who was lesbian and a leader. And I was like, what? Someone a lesbian, like a woman, LGBTQ plus, and like in a role of leadership? I need to get to know this woman ASAP, because I had never seen someone in leadership who represented like a piece of me. So I had time with her, spent lots of time with her, and she like immediately kind of took me so lovingly and warmly up under her wing and actually presented an opportunity for me to like tell my sports story during Black History Month to our business resource group. So within most corporations, they have affinity groups or what they call employee resource groups or business resource groups for different underrepresented employees to have like professional development or volunteer opportunities or just like space to share a culture that is like the same as you. So I had an opportunity to share what it was like to be Black, female, and queer and in the workplace. And so I think that's probably the clip that you saw that got online. And it was special.
It was so inspiring.
Oh gosh. Like I had been in corporate America for almost 10 years at this point, and that was the first time that I had really come out. And like I had been out for about 12 years. So I'm very comfortable in my sexuality and like sexual orientation, all that. But I had never really come to work and just talk so openly about it. And I think that was like a very big shift in who I was. And I also noticed a lot of inspiration sparked from that. So that was the moment where I was like, you know what? In all things that I do and all people that I talk to, I'm going to encourage them to be their 100% authentic self in all spaces. I grew up kind of being in this space of like, oh, when you're at work, there is a professional way that you should be operating. And I'm using my robot voice now because that's how I felt. I felt like I was a robot in like spaces at work or with my family or like with strangers. And that's exhausting. Wearing so many different hats or masks, the moment where I was able to be like, you know what, with my best friends, like the person I am with Saison, your sister, my best friend, like that is who I love. And that's who, like, when I show up as that person at work or with my family or with my friends or with strangers, that is when people are most drawn to me. And that is when I feel like the safest. That's when I feel like I am my full 100% self and happiest. And if I can send any message to anyone listening to this, remain true to who you are. That person that you enjoy the most, take that person with you to work, with your family, with strangers, with friends, because that is when the best opportunities are going to come to you. The best people are almost going to like be drawn to you like a magnet, and you are going to feel the most peace inside of yourself.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than feeling like you have to be 5 different people depending on, I'm at work, I need to be this person. I'm at home, I need to be this, and then you feel like you can only be yourself. And then you're like, wait, who is myself? I don't even know anymore because I'm like 5 different people. Yeah. Were you nervous at all when you did that presentation, or were you like, oh, it's fine, my mentor is kind of already like leading the way?
Cooper, I was so nervous. I was like shaking and sweating before I like went up and spoke in front of all these people. I was so nervous because I actually still to this day struggle with my own family accepting my sexuality. And that piece in itself is like, whew, I'm into my 30s now. Like when y'all, this is not a phase. Hello?
Do they just act like it's not happening or what?
It's not a phase. This is who I am. But I had always been, I think, trained, if we're going back to like how my parents told me, I already had 2 strikes against me. And then it's like that 3rd strike. It's like, people think that there are some people who view homosexuality as a choice and that you're choosing to have this disadvantage or this strike against you. When I'm sorry to let the world know it's not a choice. If I could choose not to have a harder life, I would love to choose that. But it comes back to being your 100% true self and being at peace with yourself at all times. And in order for me to do that, I have to stand in my truth. And my truth is I'm gay. So going back into like being afraid to come out at work, it was like my parents had instilled in me, like, keep things professional at work. No one needs to know your personal life. You don't want to have these people who do not accept your sexuality put you in situations where you could have opportunities blocked because of that. They don't agree with it. So there were a lot of things where I was like, are people going to accept me? Will this hinder my career progression, my growth? And ultimately, like, is this going to come back and bite me in the ass? But I do think that presentation itself, me coming out, like all of that, honestly just propelled me to an even greater place. Like in my career, I had a lot more exposure and a lot more self-confidence to move forward with the things that I was passionate about, which were ultimately diversity and inclusion. And now I am no longer working with that company, and now at one of my dream companies doing my dream job and creating and fighting for equality and justice within another huge corporate workspace in the world of diversity and inclusion. This for me, along with the Coaching Queen and my self-care and life coaching business, like I'm living and working in my dream day in, day out, which is like fighting for people who need it, the people who have been underrepresented, the people who have been overlooked, and truly just want to be loved for who they are and acknowledged for who they are and have the same opportunities to be great and the best versions of themselves.
That is so cool. So do you think that your current company where you work knows at all about your coaching?
Oh, yeah. I'm super open about it.
And they're fine with it? They're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of support from the people I work with in my, what I call my day job, my 9 to 5. And it's exciting. Some of them follow my Instagram account and gave me like a little shout out internally, which was really cool. Of course, we have like these systems in place where I can't be doing the same type of work in my day job that I'm doing in my business. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that because to me, like self-care in itself is like, that's very special and something I do want to keep separate.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of this woman, and I'm spacing on it now, but she's a big time coach for people as far as like building your network on LinkedIn. She's also like big time at Disney. And someone was talking to her about I was listening to some podcast and they were saying, well, hey, is it like weird because you're pretty big in a very big company, but you're also like huge. Like everyone knows you're the LinkedIn girl, you know, for marketing and this and that. And she's like, actually, it goes together. Like Disney actually loves it.
Totally. I felt that way for a while too, where I was like, I don't know, like, I don't want my 9 to 5 job. I don't want them to think that I don't want to do that job because I love that job. Like that is still a big part of like my passion. That's why I think for me, entrepreneurship gives me a bit of balance in my life because I'm able to pursue 2 passions at once. Why do we have to only have one passion and one love for one thing? Why can't we spread that out? So for for anyone who is considering going down the whole path of entrepreneurship, starting a new business, I say go for it if you're conflicted between, am I going to have enough time for both? Or, what I have had to come to realize is that sometimes you have to prioritize.